Imagine a place lost in time, sealed for centuries, guarding one of history's greatest mysteries. In the heart of Jerusalem's Kidron Valley, archaeologists have finally opened an ancient tomb that many believe is the final resting place of the Virgin Mary. Archaeologists will now unveil what has remained hidden for over 2,000 years. The world eagerly awaits to discover what lies within. For thousands of years, people have wondered what happened to the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus. She is one of the most important figures in Christianity, yet the Bible never actually says how she died or where she was buried. Some believe she passed away peacefully and was buried in a tomb. Others believe she never died at all, that her body was taken straight to heaven. This idea, called the Assumption, has been taught in churches for centuries. But here's where things get even stranger. Across the world, different places claim to be Mary's real burial site. Some say she was buried in Jerusalem. Others insist she lived her final days in Ephesus, Turkey. Some even say she traveled as far as India or Pakistan before she died. With so many different stories, it has been nearly impossible to separate legend from legend. Deep in the Kidron Valley, near the famous Garden of Gethsemane, lies an ancient tomb believed by many to be Mary's final resting place. For centuries, it remained untouched, hidden from the world. But when researchers finally got permission to enter, no one could have predicted what they would find. This discovery sent shockwaves through religious and historical communities. If Mary had really been buried there, the remains should still be inside. But they weren't. This only fueled the belief that she had never actually died, but instead had been taken up to heaven, body and soul. The idea that Mary was taken into heaven has been around for centuries, but it wasn't always an official belief. In the early years of Christianity, different groups had different ideas about what happened to her. Some held the belief that she met the same fate as everyone else and underwent burial. Others believed she rose into the sky, just like Jesus. Some believed they took her body immediately after her death. Others claimed she came back to life 3 days later before ascending. By the 5th century, belief in the Assumption became more widespread. But it wasn't until 1950 that the Catholic Church officially declared it a core teaching of the faith. Pope Pius XII announced that Mary had been taken to heaven, but he never stated whether she had died first or not. That part was left open to interpretation. Now, with the discovery of this empty tomb, the conversation has started all over again. The tomb in Jerusalem is just one of many that claim to be Mary's final resting place. Some researchers believe she never died in Jerusalem at all. Instead, they argue that she spent her last days in Ephesus, Turkey, where a small house was discovered in the 19th century that some believe was her home. The idea comes from the Gospel of John, which says that before Jesus died, he told his disciples to take care of Mary. Many believe John took her to Ephesus, where he lived, and later wrote parts of the Bible. Even today, thousands of pilgrims visit the site, convinced that this was where Mary spent her final days. Then, there are even stranger claims. Some groups in India and Turkmenistan insist Mary traveled east after Jesus' death, eventually dying in what is now Pakistan. Some believe she was buried under a small shrine in Murree, Pakistan, and that her body was later taken away by divine forces. Even among Christians, There has never been a single unified version of Mary's final days. From the earliest centuries, two major traditions have emerged, each presenting a radically different version of events. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. In Catholic teaching, Mary was taken up to heaven, body and soul, in a miraculous event known as the Assumption. While the belief existed for centuries, it was not until 1950 that it became official church doctrine when Pope Pius XII declared it in Munificentissimus Deus. This teaching, however, left out one crucial detail. It never stated whether Mary actually died first or was simply lifted into heaven while still alive. While Catholics celebrate the Assumption, Eastern Orthodox Christians follow a different tradition, the Dormition of the Mother of God. According to this belief, Mary did indeed die, but she was resurrected 3 days later before being taken to heaven. The term dormition means falling asleep, a phrase used in Orthodox theology to describe the peaceful death of saints. The Orthodox Church has upheld this belief for centuries, with written records dating back to at least the 5th century. Unlike Catholics, who were uncertain about whether Mary actually died, Orthodox teachings firmly state that she experienced physical death before her Assumption. The biggest difference between the two beliefs is Catholics leave room for interpretation. Mary may or may not have died before her Assumption. Orthodox Christians insist she died, but was resurrected before being taken to heaven. The Assumption of Mary was not accepted by all Christians. When the Protestant Reformation began in 1517, reformers like Martin Luther and John Calvin rejected the idea that Mary was taken to heaven, arguing that there was no biblical evidence to support it. Most Protestant groups today do not celebrate the Assumption or Dormition, and instead, they believe that Mary died like any other person and was buried like everyone else. Some view her as an important figure in Christianity, but not as someone who was taken up into heaven. Mary is also an important figure in Islam, where she is known as Maryam. The Quran describes her as a pure and chosen woman, the mother of Jesus, and one of the most righteous figures in history. Islamic texts do not provide a clear account of her death or Assumption, but tradition suggests that she received honors in heaven. Some Islamic scholars believe she was taken directly to paradise, while others say she passed away like any other person. One story from Islamic tradition even describes Prophet Muhammad seeing Mary in heaven, surrounded by angels. This aligns with the Christian belief that she was assumed into heaven, although Islam does not present it as an official doctrine. From the earliest days of Christianity, believers saw Mary as the chosen woman who gave birth to Jesus, but the way they described her role led to much debate. Some questioned whether she was simply the mother of Jesus as a man, or if she could be called the Mother of God. The answer to this question would shape Christian belief for centuries. In the year 431 AD, the Council of Ephesus, one of the most important gatherings of bishops in Christian history, settled the matter. The council officially gave Mary the title Theotokos, which means God-bearer or Mother of God in Greek. This title was not just about Mary but also about Jesus. It confirmed that he was both fully God and fully human from the moment of his birth. By recognizing Mary as the Mother of God, the Church emphasized that Jesus was not just an ordinary man who became divine later. Instead, he was divine from the very beginning, and Mary played an essential role in God's plan. Her willingness to accept this responsibility, as told in the Gospel of Luke, when the angel Gabriel announced she would have a child, made her the most blessed among women. This oldest and most unique belief about Mary is that she was a virgin before, during, and after Jesus' birth. This teaching is called the Perpetual Virginity of Mary, and it is a core belief in Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, and some Protestant traditions. Early Christian writers spoke of Mary's virginity as a sign of her special role in God's plan. They believed that her body was sacred because she carried Jesus, and for that reason, she never had other children. This teaching became widely accepted, and by the 4th century, church leaders such as St. Augustine and St. Jerome defended it as an essential truth of the faith. However, some people argue that certain Bible passages mention the brothers and sisters of Jesus, which seems to contradict the idea that Mary remained a virgin. The Catholic Church explains that these brothers and sisters were actually cousins or close relatives, as Aramaic, the language spoken by Jesus, did not have separate words for different family members. The Church teaches that Mary's virginity is a sign of her total dedication to God. Unlike other women of her time, who were expected to marry and have many children, Mary's life was entirely centered on her spiritual motherhood rather than physical motherhood. Many people think the Immaculate Conception refers to the way Jesus was born, but in reality, this dogma is about Mary herself. The Church teaches that from the moment Mary was conceived in her mother's womb, she was free from original sin. According to Christian belief, every human being inherits original sin from Adam and Eve, meaning they are born with a tendency towards sin. However, because Mary was chosen to be the mother of Jesus, she was given a special grace that kept her pure from sin her entire life. This belief was held for centuries, but it wasn't formally declared a dogma until 1854, when Pope Pius IX made it official in a document called Ineffabilis Deus. The Immaculate Conception does not mean that Mary did not need salvation. Rather, it means that she was saved by Jesus in a unique way before she was even born. Because of this, Mary is sometimes called the new Eve, as she represents a new beginning for humanity, just as Eve was the first woman in the Garden of Eden. To celebrate this belief, December 8th was established as the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, which is still observed by Catholics around the world. Beyond these 4 main dogmas, Mary holds a special place in Christian devotion. While she is not worshipped like God, she is honored in a way called hyperdulia, which is a special level of veneration higher than that given to any other saint. This is because she is the mother of Jesus, the closest person to him in life and in heaven. Throughout history, millions of people have turned to Mary in prayer, seeking her help and guidance. She is seen as a mother figure for all believers, someone who listens to their prayers and intercedes for them. Many famous Catholic prayers, such as the Hail Mary and the Rosary, reflect this deep love and respect for her. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. In Orthodox Christianity, Mary holds a central and sacred role. She is given the title Theotokos, which means God-bearer or Mother of God. This title was officially confirmed in 431 AD at the Council of Ephesus, reinforcing the belief that Jesus was both fully human and fully divine from the moment of his birth. By calling Mary the Mother of God, Orthodox Christians emphasize that she gave birth not just to an ordinary man, but to the Son of God Himself. Mary is deeply honored in Orthodox liturgy, and numerous feasts and prayers are dedicated to her throughout the year. Some of the most important celebrations include the Dormition of the Theotokos, August 15th. This feast commemorates Mary's passing from earthly life and her entrance into heaven. It is considered one of the most significant days in the Orthodox Christian calendar. The Feast of the Annunciation, March 25th. This marks the moment when the angel Gabriel told Mary she would bear Jesus, celebrating her willingness to accept God's plan. The Nativity of the Theotokos, September 8th. This honors Mary's birth, recognizing her unique role in salvation history. In Orthodox Christian teachings, Mary is seen as the most blessed among all women, a bridge between humanity and God. She is often depicted in icons with deep reverence, surrounded by angels and saints, reflecting her divine role in Christian belief. In Islam, Mary is not only respected, she is considered one of the greatest and purest women in history. She is known by her Arabic name, Maryam, and is mentioned around 40 times in the Quran, making her the most frequently named woman in Islamic scripture. One of the most remarkable aspects of Mary's presence in Islam is that an entire chapter of the Quran, Surah 19, is named after her. This surah describes her miraculous conception, her devotion to God, and the birth of Jesus, Isa, whom Muslims regard as a great prophet. Islamic tradition honors Maryam as a model of purity and faith. The Quran describes her as a woman chosen by God, highlighting her righteousness and obedience. According to Islamic belief, Mary was not married to Joseph, but instead conceived Jesus through a divine miracle. Muslims see her as a symbol of deep trust in God's plan, and in many parts of the Islamic world, she is venerated by both Muslims and Christians alike. Some Islamic traditions even say that Mary will have a special place in paradise, showing the high level of honor she holds in the faith. Within Anglicanism and Lutheranism, Mary is recognized as the mother of Jesus and a significant figure in Christian faith, though she is not worshipped in the same way as in Catholicism or Orthodoxy. In Anglican traditions, Mary is honored on special feast days, including the Annunciation, March 25th, and the Assumption, August 15th, though beliefs about her assumption into heaven vary. While some Anglicans accept the idea that Mary was taken to heaven, others see it as a theological concept rather than a historical event. Lutherans also hold Mary in high regard, following the teachings of Martin Luther, who spoke of her as a model of faith and humility. The Lutheran Church recognizes her role in Jesus' birth and her willingness to follow God's call, though it does not encourage prayers to her as intercessor. In Hinduism, she is often compared to goddesses like Parvati or Lakshmi, who represent motherly love, protection, and divine grace. Some Hindu communities, especially in India, acknowledge Mary as a holy mother who embodies similar qualities of patience, sacrifice, and purity. In Buddhism, Mary is occasionally linked to Guanyin, the bodhisattva of compassion, a figure who represents mercy and care for all beings. In some parts of Asia, Buddhist and Christian traditions overlap, leading to a shared respect for Mary as a symbol of maternal love and kindness. This broader recognition of Mary across different cultures and beliefs shows how her image transcends religious boundaries. Whether seen as a divine mother, a faithful servant of God, or a symbol of mercy, she remains one of the most widely respected women in spiritual history. Throughout history, few figures have captured the imagination and devotion of humanity quite like Mary, the mother of Jesus. Her story has been told, retold, and reinterpreted across different faiths, cultures, and traditions, each shaping her into a figure of unparalleled spiritual significance. More than just a historical figure, she is a symbol of faith, strength, and divine grace, whose legacy has left an indelible mark on the world. From her earliest depictions in Christian scripture to her presence in Islam, Orthodox Christianity, Anglicanism, and even Hindu and Buddhist traditions, Mary has remained a bridge between the human and the divine. While her role is understood differently in each religion, her essence as a woman of deep faith, obedience, and compassion remains the same. For Orthodox Christians, Mary is Theotokos, the God-bearer, the one who carried divinity within her womb and gave birth to the Savior of the world. Her role is honored through grand liturgical feasts, icons, and prayers, where she is seen as the intercessor who connects believers with Christ. The titles given to her in Orthodox Christianity emphasize her divine motherhood and the miraculous nature of her role in salvation history. In Catholicism, she is revered as the Immaculate Conception, the assumed Queen of Heaven, and the Perpetual Virgin who remained pure throughout her life. Her presence is deeply felt in prayers, like the Hail Mary and the Rosary, reinforcing her role as a compassionate intercessor and spiritual mother to all believers. If you're enjoying this story, consider clicking Super. Thanks. Your support helps us bring more powerful and thought-provoking topics like this to you. Islam honors her as Maryam, the most righteous and pure of all women, mentioned more than any other female figure in the Quran. Surah Maryam, an entire chapter dedicated to her, recounts her miraculous conception of Jesus through God's divine will. Her presence in Islam is one of profound respect and admiration, as she serves as an example of devotion, patience, and complete submission to God's command. In Anglicanism and Lutheranism, Mary is recognized as the mother of Jesus, a woman of great faith who accepted her divine mission with courage. While she is not venerated to the same extent as in Catholic or Orthodox traditions, she is still seen as a role model for Christian believers, and her story remains a central part of the gospel story. Even in Hindu and Buddhist traditions, Mary's image as a loving and compassionate mother resonates with the attributes of goddesses like Parvati, Lakshmi, and Guanyin. These traditions may not incorporate her directly into their teachings, but they acknowledge her universal qualities of love, selflessness, and divine grace. Despite her presence across multiple religions, one of the most intriguing aspects of Mary's story is how little is actually known about the end of her earthly life. Unlike Jesus, whose death and resurrection are central to Christian theology, Mary's final days remain a mystery. The Bible does not specify how, when, or where she passed away, leading to centuries of debate and speculation. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.